is Dr. Aidan and this is the Complete Guide to Shakespeare. In the next few minutes, I'll highlight 8 reasons why it is sometimes difficult to understand the plays. And don't worry, all of these things can be overcome. And all the quotes I'm going to use to illustrate the points will be taken from Romeo and Juliet. The first reason is the reordering of words for poetic effect. Lady, by yonder blessed moon I vow. Normally we would place the verb to vow at the beginning of a sentence. Lady, I vow by yonder blessed moon. Here we have to wait until the end of the line. It's called a periodic sentence. So one of the first things you can do to make it easier to understand it is to try and identify the verb, because identifying the verb will help you to understand what the line is about. The second is complex wordplay. Feather of lead, bright smoke, cold fire, sick health. Complex language, such as this use of oxymoron, which is the placing of words next to each other that seem to have an opposite or contradictory meaning, are very common in the plays. Now, instinctively, you're going to grasp the idea that Romeo is talking about the seemingly incompatible, either two lovers where one doesn't love the other, which is the case with him and Rosaline at the beginning of the play, or the inability of the Montagues and the Capulets to coexist peacefully. And for more on this, do see my video entitled The 10 Most Important Quotes in Romeo and Juliet. Third reason is using a word in an unfamiliar grammatical form. That could be a noun as a verb, or perhaps an adjective as a verb. For I am proverbed with a grandsire phrase. Now here, the noun proverb is changed from a noun to a verb, suggesting that somehow the proverb is working upon him. And in addition, the word grandsire, which means something used by one's ancestors, becomes a possessive. So it's a phrase that's been used by people for many years and put upon Romeo. 4. The contraction of words, or the shortening of words. That monthly changes in her circled orb. Here orb means orbit, but it might simultaneously suggest an orb or a sphere. But there are a number of contractions in Shakespeare. Almost always these are to ensure the right number of syllables per line. And if you want to know more about this, see my videos entitled Iambic Pentameter or the difference between verse and prose. The 5th reason is puns. Shakespeare loved them. It was his weakness. Samuel Johnson said it was the fatal Cleopatra that led Shakespeare astray. O single-souled jest, solely singular for the singleness. Here Shakespeare has Romeo quibble or pun on the words single-soled of a shoe, meaning something shoddy or badly made, solely singular, meaning only, and singleness, in this case meaning foolishness. So these lines essentially means Mercutio's joke, which is what Romeo is discussing, is only unique or sole in its shoddiness and foolishness. Now you'll grow to understand these puns more, and the various types such as antanaclasis, paranomasia and silepsis as you read and study more. Reason 6, archaic sounding pronouns. Now thee or thou sound old-fashioned and can be off-putting to the modern ear, but in fact thou and you are often used in this period to differentiate between social classes. I mean, quite often the servant is referred to as thou by a person higher up, and when noble people speak to each other they often address each other as you. But one of the things that can happen is when a noble person changes from you to thou, and it often indicates a deterioration in their relationship. So look out for these conventions as you watch and read the plays. And again, for more on this, look out for my video, What Do Thee and Thou Mean? Reason 7 is allusions to classical stories that are now unfamiliar. Such a wagoner as Phaeton would whip you to the west. This refers to Phaeton, the son of the sun god Phoebus. And when Phaeton drove the chariot that carried the sun across the sky, he lost control of it and had to be killed before the sun crashed into the earth. Now this reference foreshadows the deaths of Romeo and Juliet. And finally, number 8, contextual jokes. Oh, here's a wit of Cheverel that stretches from an inch narrow to an ell broad. On the surface this appears to be a difficult line, but when we know the meaning of a couple of words it makes sense. Cheverel is a very fine and flexible leather made from the skin of goats. And what this line is suggesting is something that can be stretched a lot like Cheverel, and that can be from just an inch wide to 45 inches wide. An ell was a 45-inch unit of measurement. Now the line means that Romeo has a very flexible, quick wit, and he can outsmart even Mercutio. Again, these period witticisms just need to be learned over time. Like classical allusions, they're not critical to your understanding of the play, but they do add to it once you know them. So that's it. 8 reasons why Shakespeare can seem difficult when you first experience the plays. And they're all areas that I will address in the various videos on my YouTube channel. Sometimes I'll mention the way a word is contracted to fit a line or used in an unusual way. Sometimes I will draw attention to the way classical allusions give us an insight into the way the action might develop. And I'll point out and explain complex wordplay as we come across it. So I hope you found this short video useful, and I look forward to being able to explain more about Shakespeare, his plays and his wordplay in future videos. Thank you for watching. Give a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video and subscribe now so that you never miss any of my future posts.